Second part. Lena headed off to the mill in her wagon. The past few days, these streets had seen little pedestrian traffic, but apparently everyone felt safer since that vampire had been killed. And a number of faces now watched with astonishment as the wagon raced by. She was there in about 20 minutes, but, taking measure of the old, dilapidated mill, she saw and heard nothing but the squeal of the water wheel and the bass growls of its hydroelectric motor. These things weren't even there. Maybe he'd already left town. Anxiety quickly withered Lena's spirit. A chill that she hadn't felt in the least when she left her house now seeped into her through her pores. Looking up, she saw the sky was still dark. The world was rife with fear. Lena left the shack. The wind whistled over her head. Though the wind should have borne some foreshadowing of spring, it was colder than she ever could have imagined. It invaded her leather coat through the collar and sleeves, stabbing at her exposed back. Damn. Of all the lousy luck. Wonder if I should go back home. But then, I don't much fancy another beating. What to do? Deciding to wander around a bit while she mulled it over, Lena went back to the wagon and took a sliver gun out of the storage compartment for self-protection before setting off on foot down the path. It seemed that even Lena was comforted by the death of the vampire this afternoon. She was as yet unaware that the female victim had been killed, so the possibility that the vampire in the cage had been guilty still had a strong base to work from. When she'd gone so far the outline of the mill was no longer visible, the wind called her name. She turned, but could sense no one around her. The new grass fluttered in the wind. Tightening her grip on her weapon, she started walking again. Before she'd gone 10 steps, she heard it. Lena. This time there was absolutely no mistaking the sound. Who is it? And where are you? She turned around and shouted, and the wind responded. Lena, Lena, Lena. Come on, where are you already? Seriously, I'll shoot. Heedless of the contradiction in that, the girl was overtaken by fear. Awaken, Lena, the wind said. It was a voice she'd heard before. Lena sifted through her memories intently. Still don't understand, do you, Lena? Awaken. You must awaken. The voice danced all around her. It laughed beneath her feet, whispered at her ear, bellowed above her head. Lena, Lena, Lena. You're starting to piss me off, mystery pest. When she raised the sliver gun, still lacking a target, a particularly powerful gust of wind smacked her between the eyes. Her balance was gone in a flash. The hand she was certain she'd set on the embankment beside her swept right through the air without meeting the slightest resistance. Lena fell hard, head first, to the bottom of a benighted pit. Judging from the impact, the drop couldn't have been that great. Looking back the way she'd fallen, she saw a circular opening about 7 feet above her. The soil banked up toward it, forming an incline. Surmising that she'd be able to climb out somehow or other, Lena gave a sign of relief. Lena, the voice cried out. Without a doubt, it was a man's voice, and this time it was very close. Fixing her gaze before her, Lena was enveloped by surprise. Ahead of her lay an unsettling, spacious area, a subterranean chamber. The depths were shrouded in darkness, but in the light stabbing down through the hole above her, she could see it was quite vast. On the boundary between darkness and light stood a grey figure, the source of the voice.
Damn, that hurt.
Starting to rise, Lena pressed her hand to her hip. Desperately garbing herself in an air of calmness, she wrung the words from her throat.
You're the character from the night before last. I just knew the guy they caught this morning was someone else. So, is it supposed to be my turn now? If you come near me, I'll shoot.
She aimed the sliver gun at him, but the shadowy figure didn't seem in the least bit perturbed. In a leaden, low voice he asked, "Don't you understand? Seeing this place, don't you recall anything?"
What is with you? You just keep saying the same damn things over and over.
Lena said angrily.
This is the first time I've ever fallen into this blasted hole. No reason why I should remember anything. So stop your yammering and reach for the sky. I'll shoot.
The figure raised one arm. Just as she was admiring this docile display, he swung it in a wide arc. Take a good look at this place, at this lab. Remember what happened 10 years ago. Finally, Lena noticed that the scene before her was the interior of some sort of room. It was apparent at a glance that destruction had ravaged this place, leaving a mountain of rubble on the stone-paved floor. But the toppled tables and the shapes of what seemed to be colossal machines looming motionless in the depths of the darkness testified that the gray man spoke the truth. However, there was something strange about the scene. Although the place where Lena stood was a dirt floor in a hole in the ground, the boundary between that and the room was terribly indistinct. The room looked so close she could reach out and touch it, but it was in fact preposterously far away. At least that was the impression she got. However, it was something else entirely that struck Lena now. The shadowy gray figure whose face Dee's computer had revealed, someone she was sure she had never seen before, and knew about what had happened a decade earlier. Don't you remember, Lena? Very well then. How about this? Disregarding Lena's astonishment, the shadow made a sweep of his hand. Ripples ran through the depths of the darkness, eerie things defying any attempt at metaphor. Well, Lena, how's that?
I don't know. What are these things? Keep away from me.
Her voice cut out, as if a white scalpel had sliced open her brain. Fragmented memories blazed to life. That's right. This is where... and where they... The vision faded away abruptly.
I don't understand. Don't come near me.
Anxiety and relief hung in her cries, and her finger worked of its own volition. Fired off with a sigh-like snap, unique to highly pressurized gas, a tiny tungsten needle pierced the heart of the shadowy figure. The figure smiled silently.
The eerie things continued forward. Lena's pupils opened wide, like one who has peered into the abyss at things no one was meant to see. They, the eerie things approaching, had called her name. Lena, they said. There was a flash, and another. Light knifed in through the incisions in her clouded mind. All these people are... Suddenly, the shadowy figure looked upward. The things raised a commotion, and yet she couldn't hear their voices. A problem has cropped up. We'll meet again, Lena, the dwindling shadow said. A fear completely different from what she felt before now assailed Lena. Dropping the sliver gun, she started to scale the incline without so much as a backward glance. She had the feeling that as soon as her hands reached the lip of the hole, some 7 feet away, the vision would vanish. The forest awaited her. What Lena crawled out of was a hole in the ground just over 1.5 feet in diameter. The grass grew thick and wild around it, and even the most concentrated gaze would be hard-pressed to discover the opening. Lena swiftly brushed the dirt off herself. Taking a deep breath, she set off back down the road. After she'd walked 40 or 50 yards, she heard the echo of hoofbeats closing on her from the rear. Was this the problem the gray man had been talking about? If so, that shadowy figure must have been able to discern this sound several 100 yards away, and through the ground, no less. Having stepped to the side of the road, when Lena turned around, her face was quickly suffused with joy. Dee! Unsettlingly beautiful, he gazed down at Lena from his horse. What are you doing? What brings you out here? Lena paused for a moment, then made a quick answer. Well, actually, I was out looking for you. Would you be so good as to put me up this evening? An inquiring glance from Dee. Lena told him she'd left after a falling out with the mare. Without asking the reason or any of the petty details, Dee silently offered his hand, then pulled her up on the back of his mount. Before the horse had taken a step, she stammered, What is it? Is it okay if I put my arms around your waist? You'd fall off if you didn't, wouldn't you? Yep. Her cheek pressed against his back. Hard and wide, the firmness of the skin beneath came right through his coat. She'd heard that the bodies of Dampiers were much colder than those of humans, but that didn't seem to be the case with Dee. He was warm. Before she knew it, tears spread across her cheeks. Are you crying? Dee asked. He inquired in the same way one might ask for directions on the street. So what if I am? Everyone gets the blues from time to time. Don't keep badgering me about it. Lena didn't know that it bordered on miraculous when this youth asked anyone anything about themselves. Dee fell silent. Say, Dee, the ruins are off the way you were coming. Were you up there again? That's right. Looking for another entrance. Another one? What about the usual one? It's been sealed. No one can get in that way now. Giving a little shake of his head, he said, You can forget all about that stuff. Shouldn't you be studying or something? Killjoy? Lena replied, butting Dee's shoulder with her head. With a brain like mine, it's not like I need to do any more studying at this late date. Oh,
That's right. You're the girl genius.
That's me, all right.
The horse arrived at the mill, and the pair crossed a bridge over the fairly swollen brook before going into the shack. Perhaps due to the evening almost upon them, the wind bore chill, but it was a far cry from the harshness of the white season. As Lena watched him from behind with a mystified expression, Dee asked the girl, "Is it so strange that I crossed running water?"
Yeah. After all, you're a Dampier, right? No, I probably shouldn't have mentioned that.
To be sure, water poses a problem for me. Nobles have been known to drown in water less than waist deep.
I wonder why that is. The biology of the nobility is so mysterious.
Her question seemed completely at odds with her innocent voice and naive countenance. For some reason, Lena had an intense curiosity about the nobility. Giving no answer, Dee went to the corner of the dusty shack and set down the saddle and bags he'd brought from the horse, then pulled out a blackish, palm-sized package. With a tug on the protruding cord, the package rapidly expanded into a very comfortable-looking sleeping bag. "You'd better sleep in this. It has a built-in heater. You could get through the night without catching a cold."
But what about you?
"I'll be resting outside. Being down against the earth suits my nature more. Don't give it another thought. I've never even used that before."
But
She was about to say more, but she noticed Dee concentrating his senses on something outside. "It seems they've come for you," the hunter said.
no way. I refuse to go back there.
Before long, nearly a dozen men on horseback had arrived at the far side of the brook. Both the mayor and the sheriff were there, and the rest were members of the vigilance committee led by Fern. Each and every one wore a strangely stiff expression. What they had to do, and the thought of who might stand in their way, made them look tense. Their opposition was standing in front of the shack. The blue glint of the pendant on his chest made the men uneasy. Perhaps the horses sensed something too, for there was no end to their whinnying. Atop their mounts, the men shook ever so slightly. "State your business," Dee said softly. His was a tone well suited to the tranquil afternoon light. But the horses halted at once. Did their riders realize they were frozen with fear? "As if you didn't know already," sneered the mayor, who now sported a black hat, and he jabbed out one arm to point to one of the shack's windows. "We're here to take Lena home. No use trying to hide her. If you don't hand her right now, we'll make you wish you had." "It doesn't matter to me either way, but I don't know what she'll have to say about it." Suddenly, the wooden shutters of the window swung open, and Lena poked her head out. Well prepared, she had her tongue sticking out already.
Screw you! Who'd be stupid enough to go back there? I'll be staying here a while. I'm practicing up on surviving in the wilderness. Kindly keep out of the way, Daddy. Oh, did you know your face looks kind of swollen?
The special spitefulness she saved for the last bit was delicious. The distended purple face of the mayor donned a look 5 times more crimson than his wounds. With a glance to his side, he said, "What the hell are you doing, Sheriff? What we got here is a case of a father trying to get his daughter back. We'll take her back by force if necessary, right?" "Well..." the sheriff began hesitantly. The rest of the men looked the other way. Every one of them had witnessed Dee's swordplay in the village square. Well, if she says she doesn't want to go, there's nothing we can do. And I believe your parental authority over Lena ran out the year before last, to boot. Parental authority expired. In other words, an individual became responsible for his or her own actions at the age of 15 in most communities on the frontier. Their environment demanded independence. Oh, you worthless sack of dung! You just stand by and let this half-breed drifter ruin my daughter. Your ass is fired. When we get back to town, the first thing I'm going to do is convene a council meeting. The sheriff shrugged. Okay, now will somebody... Leave it to me, Fern said to the mayor, his voice brimming with self-confidence as he leisurely dismounted. Resting both hands on the baskets on his hips, he had a steady stride as he headed over to square off with Dee. Knew it'd come down to this sooner or later. He sounded like his position was well covered. It's too late, so don't even think about saying we can have her now. Dee didn't make a move. He had the air of a young poet listening to the song of the wind. It seemed as if even the voice of the brook had been silenced. Watch yourself, Dee. He's got guard beasts in those baskets. Lena's words injected tension into a situation that wasted no time in exploding. Pale flashes shot from Dee's right hand, and the basket still attached to Fern's waist fell to pieces. 2 creatures fell to the ground, a weird spider, and a lightning-discharging cloud. As the legs of the spider were free from injury, either it had regenerated already, or this was a new beast. Fern egged them on with eerie syllables. A jolt of purple shot through the spot where Dee had stood, spraying the wall of the shack with sparks. The needles launched by the airborne Dee stopped halfway between him and the monsters. The instant he realized billowing white threads were twisting around him, Dee mowed through the wind with a longsword in his right hand. Oh, Fern exclaimed. He just watched the adhesive liquid that had held not only behemoths, but the figure in gray cut to shreds like so much cotton thread. However, Dee's body veered appreciably as he tried to leap the brook in a single bound. In the next instant, he landed waist-deep in the current with a splash. Who, if anyone, had actually seen the tentacle that had shot from the water and wrapped around his ankle like a whip? And there wasn't just one. The second Dee hit, a number of identical tentacles flew up and wrapped around both his wrists as tightly as possible. Something with what looked like a striped carapace broke the current ahead of Dee. I thought as much. Not quite as sharp in the water now, are you? Fern laughed, showing a lot of teeth. See, when I heard we'd be going up against you, I went back to my house and picked up one of my aquatic guard beasts. From what I hear, Dampiers are as weak in the water as the nobility. Okay, so now you get your pick. Stay where you are and drown, or let the sparks from my electric cloud shock you to death. Stop it. I'll go back. As Lena screamed these words, the cloud and spider approached the water's edge. Don't do it, Fern. Never mind that. Kill him. The conflicting shouts of the sheriff and mayor were faced by an awe-inspiring sight. The purple bolt aimed at the immobilized Dee bounced off the oval carapace, bursting through the water's surface. All of the spectators felt their eyes bulge from their sockets. Who could have believed that the gorgeous youth was rising from the water along with the beast that held him? The one who'd been dragged down was doing the dragging. All of them had just witnessed the monstrous power of the nobility. What many said was the strength of 50 men, and now, before their watchful eyes, Dee's left hand flashed out. Extending his 5 fingers and making a slashing motion, every tentacle his hand touched was severed. Free from his bonds, Dee sailed through the air like a mystic bird. A silvery light deflected the flash of purple, then bisected the body of the cloud, swinging back with a speed the eye couldn't follow to sever the head from the giant spider, as well as the web of threads it dropped on him. The sound of the brook returned to the ears of the onlookers. Throwing the gore from his blade with an elegant flick, Dee turned his back as if nothing had happened.
Too much for you boys? See how tough my bodyguard is?
Lena jeered in a voice bursting with joy. The men had lost even the will to say anything as Dee walked away. Second part, end.